Hello, this is Daniel and welcome to the 7th part of this character tutorial series. Now, we have just finished the helmet and we have a few more little details to cover and soon we'll be done with the base model. Let's see, I quickly noticed that we still haven't connected the neck. Should we do that quickly? Let's see. Now, the poly count isn't ideal in this case. What I want to do is, okay, let's quickly select the head. Let's see. So here, let's toggle very quickly the helmet so that we don't see it, that it's not in the way. And I will go ahead and add loop cut here. Now this will mean that we'll have to quickly spread out these points a bit evenly. So select this ring and this ring, use the loop tools again from the plugin that we activated in the previous part, use the space feature to space them out a bit more evenly. I have to do something similar for all of these loops here. I'm just going to select them with Shift and Control. Let's space them out a bit. Okay, we can't do it here. Should have realized that. But otherwise we can. Yeah, alright. I mean, it's not very beautiful at the moment, but we'll have plenty chances to fix this up later. For now it's okay. So let's just leave it like this, because this will allow us now to connect it up with the body. So I'm selecting both objects, join the head to the body, and then you should be able to just connect them with F, as they should share the same number of vertices. Let's just do this, and here we go. Let's just line up everything a little bit nicer, and that should be good for now. All right. Yeah, feel free to tweak these kind of things a little bit to the point where you're happy. At least they're now all in one object, and we'll later on need this when we add the details, so it's good that we did that right away. In the back I want to have a little bit more height compared to the front. Just adjusting some minor things here and there. But alright, that's good for now. So here we have now head and body connected. The legs are still separate, but actually, why don't we just add these together? Select the two, hit Control J, and there we go. So this is, let's just call this body block, or I don't know. Yeah, layout, I don't know, whatever. Call it whatever you want to call it, and we had here the helmet. You can spend time and name it all, but it's not super important at the moment if you have an overview about your parts. This will be more important later on in the project when we really need to organize things more. You don't need to overdo that kind of thing, but it's always good to keep these kind of organizatory things in mind. Alright, now let's start with this little piece here. I'm not going to join it into the helmet because it would require quite a lot of changes to the topology. I'm just going to make an intersecting part here. So add a new object by using Shift A. We'll just start with anything. Add a plane if you want. Go into edit mode right away, and I'll just move all the geometry roughly into the right position. Let's rotate it quickly along the x-axis by 90 degrees. And maybe we can just delete this one point, and we'll just use the points that we have now to create this arch. We can subdivide these points now, and you can use the relax tool once again to kind of make them smooth. Just be sure that you have the right curvature. You want to have it a bit more curved on this end and a bit less curved in the beginning, kind of to give it the style. Maybe let's subdivide it one more towards the tip because it has more of a curvature there. That will make it look nice. Now I'm going to select this point up here last and switch to the pivot point of the active element, and then copy it with Shift D and rotate it a little bit up. You can scale it down. I'm using a similar curvature, that's why I copied it, but we're going to relax it a bit more this time. Finally, let's copy this one more time. Here we go. And let's see. I want to have this point on top selected again, but as you can see, it's a bit difficult. So what I can do is I press, with this copied part selected, I press Shift H. Now everything else will be deselected. Will be hidden. Now I can select this last and rotate it to the third curve, the place of the third curve, and then use Alt H to unhide all the other parts. Now from the top view, let's go. Okay, here from the side view you can see that maybe this entire thing is a bit towards the back, and you see the 3D cursor is right now sort of in the center of our sphere here, and that's useful because what we can do is go again to the pivot point settings and switch it to 3D cursor. Now we can rotate around the 3D cursor and just rotate it a little bit towards the back like this. Should be roughly in the right spot. Again, the side view is not very accurate, so I'm not going to rely on this one. Instead, I'm going to just look at the front view. But I can take some information out of it. For example, this middle curve should be more to the front. So I'm going to take this now next and maybe select only the lowest point. Let's go with the proportional editing tool, select connected only. Maybe set this to linear. And now if you set back the pivot point to median point, and you move this forward, adjust the gradient so that the tip is not affected, and just move it out a little bit. And this should be all you need. Actually, let's undo that for a second, and I'll make a copy this time of this whole thing, deselect all the upper ones and do the same thing we just did on a copy, and then I'll use the original and do the same thing towards the back. Now and in fact, let's undo that one more time. I'll do the same thing, but not by moving it along the y-axis. I'll instead set the pivot point to the 3D cursor, and now I'll rotate it around the, the 3D cursor. This will give us a bit of a nicer result like this. Let's move it out like that, and well, you can hit relax here a couple of times just to make it a bit straighter. Maybe hit flatten here as well, and that should be good enough. Now we can just merge these together, select all the 4 points in the top here, hit the M key on your keyboard and hit at center. Now these are all merged together, and we can begin to select the points of each face and just hit F to merge them together. Then you should be able to do the rest just by tapping F a couple of times with these two selected. Alright, and there we go, the first little bit is ready. Now, it's quite thin. You could consider if you liked it or not. If you just were to scale it now along the y-axis, it would kind of stretch out, so that's not quite what we want. Let's turn off proportional editing for once. I'll rotate it back a little bit so that it's once again lined up with the axis. It doesn't need to be super accurate. But once it's here, I can now hit scale along Y and just make it thicker, and then I can bring it back to where it was. I think that's a nicer way of doing it, to just quickly adjust the thickness, which was a bit too thin originally. Alright, so now we have the first part. You can make it maybe a bit inflated with Alt S, but now it looks good. Just let's bring this a bit more inwards so that we don't see a gap. Yeah. But, as always, it doesn't really need to be super perfect at this stage. This is just a draft. Okay, now for the other one, you know what? I think that I don't like it too far in the back. I'll actually bring it a bit more to the front. Because I think we otherwise wouldn't see these enough from a front view, so... and I think the reason why it's a bit in the back is because from the side view, probably the head is slightly tilted in this direction, or the camera is a bit to the front of the face. So we're not really ignoring the reference, it's just that we have to interpret it correctly. Now for this other part, let's just make a copy of this. I'm selecting everything, and I'll scale along X and hit 1 and then minus to invert it. Now it's on the other side. But make sure you also, without deselecting anything, hit Shift N to recalculate the normals. And again, you won't see any difference, but it is usually inverted at this point. So we needed to fix that just in case. Now with Shift right click, I'll quickly bring my 3D cursor to the center of the head here, and then rotate it to just shift these parts up a little bit around this point. Then set the pivot point back to median point, as we did a couple of times already. Now let's see. So basically what this looks like to me is that this part just doesn't go to a tip, instead it goes to like an edge. And we can do that by using the V key to split something apart. So hit V once, or to rip it apart basically. And this is what you should get. So hit V with the mouse in this region. It's important because the position of your mouse does matter. It does change the result. And then just pull it out a little bit. Delete these two edges here. And then fill in these two parts so that you have an edge here instead of a tip. Now we need to adjust the points, bring them into the new positions. Be sure to do that maybe in, wait, let's see. So I'll try to rotate this part back a little bit, or you know what, let's just keep it in place. Let's rotate it straight. We'll just reset it very quickly. So I'm just selecting all the points in the center, scale them along Y and hit the 0 key to make them flat. And then let's hit these quickly. Let's do them both one at a time. Alright, so hit these, hit relax a couple of times so that this becomes flat. We can hit flatten at the end. Then select from here to here, let's do the same thing, relax them a couple of times, then hit flatten. Now it's flat for once, okay? So this is just easier to use. We'll fix the rotation afterwards. So let's now focus just on the shape. If we want to realign these, we can also hit S and then use Shift Y to scale them on all axes except for the y-axis, so they won't go together like that. It's important though that you make sure you have the right, hit the right keys. Shift Y in this case to bring them together. So I'm just cleaning up a little bit my mesh while doing this. That will just help us do things cleaner, keep the shapes smoother. I hope the explanation was clear there, but I mean, if you can get the shape right, then that's all good, okay? Just make sure you get the shape right and you should be good to go. Let's see. Yeah, I think I want a few more points up here, so I'm going to move most of these to the tip and have less in the base. Just because there is, I believe, less detail in the bottom, but more towards the tip. And soon you should have your shape and be good to go. Maybe let's add one more cut here and move this a little bit down, just so that we get that last curvature towards the base. Alright, there we go. Feel free to now select again these individual sections and as usual hit relax. Maybe you can reduce, oh we can't here. Should we do it? Should we not do it? I'm not sure. Let's try. Let's hit relax on all these. And I think I'll just do it. It makes all the edges smoother a little bit and just should give a better result. And now finally, since this is also a little bit towards the back, should I actually, You know what, let's not. Let's just keep them straight. I'll just keep this straight here, and let's actually make this one straight as well. If it's roughly in the same spot and all smooth, that looks good. Yeah, we should be good to go. Can make these a bit thicker if we want now, since they're aligned to the x-axis, it's not an issue. And we still have a few more minutes. I quickly do want to do the ears. Let's see if we can reuse anything here. Let's just take a point here. I'll move it down here and just, you know, give the ears an outline. What's a good topology here? So I'm just going to make it 2 squares for now, then I'm subdividing them. Do it like this, give it another subdivision here. Move this one a little bit up, and should be good for an ear. Very rough, very quick. And now go ahead and from the top view, just rotate it a tiny bit. And then from the side, scale it along Y and just stretch it, and just stretch it out a little bit like this. Should give you a nice, slightly to the back tilted plane. Now I think we need to move it a little bit to the front, somewhere around here, roughly where the neck starts. You see that right now it intersects a little bit with the helmet, but I think we'll have to just adjust the helmet a little bit to make space for that, but we can do that as we go. We don't need to fix it all right now. Just bringing it a little bit into the right place. While we're at it, let me just quickly select this ring and relax it, and then select the second ring here like this and relax it as well. I feel like it is a bit shaky. Do we do that now? Yeah, let's just do it. Doesn't really matter. Alright, there we go. And finally I want to flip the ear to the other side, so hit Shift C to bring the 3D cursor to the center. Then change the pivot point to 3D cursor. Then hover over the ear, hit L to select linked. Duplicate with Shift D, hit S for scaling, hit X to constrain to the x-axis, and then type 1 and then minus to invert it, and then hit Shift N to recalculate the normals. And in this case I think we have to check the facing, so go into this menu here, face orientation, and in fact it turns out that there are a couple of parts that face the wrong direction. You see that every face, the front side is blue and the back side is red, so we want everything to be blue, so select this ear and hit Shift N, and then select also this horn, and we might also want to switch just to the character, select everything, Shift N, should just make it all blue. Now we can disable this this preview once again. Alright, but there we go. Let's see. Select, you know what, actually select this ear, delete it, even though we just created it. Now select this ear on this side, hit P to separate it into a new object, then select the ear, select the body and hit Ctrl J. Now it's part of the modifier, so it's going to be automatically mirrored to the other side. I'll move it a bit more to the front after all, and now I'll select the ear again and give it some thickness by extruding it with E, like this, and that should give us a nice preview of the ear. I don't like the fact that it's intersecting with the helmet, so let's switch back to the pivot origin to median point. So I'll try to make the ear a bit flatter, but that doesn't really go by the design as well, does it? So no, let's leave it. But we will have to change like this part. Let's select this entire lower part. I don't want to select the point where it connects. Select the entire thing, and let's try to hit flatten here. Let's make the influence stronger, and that's too much maybe. And then we might want to move it up a little bit, just so that it barely misses the ear here. And I hope that this is better now. Yeah. Let's flatten it one more time, this time stronger. Might want to twist it a little bit like this. It's actually a bit challenging. No, let's undo that. I think there's a reason to why we have these kind of angles. Instead, let's maybe try to just hit proportional editing on smooth, and we'll just pull these out a little bit instead, just so that it makes a bit more sense instead of intersecting too directly. Maybe the answer is also just to turn these ears a bit more to the front. We can try this too. So we have to balance here the things a little bit, as usually the design will not work right away as is. There's always, with these 2D stylized characters, always a few slight issues that might not work right away. But you have to make some compromises here and there and find a good solution. That's sort of part of the character creation process. Alright, I think that's good enough for now. And we added a couple of details. Let's see. Alright, we are at 22 minutes for this video. So I'm going to stop it here, and the next video, I believe this is going to be the last step for this block out. I think I quickly want to add some blocks for the hair. But then, oh, and we'll do the cape. Yeah, we'll do the cape after all, because that's quite an important element. But then the block out should be finished. So thank you all for watching once again. Let's maybe just add the horns to the helmet. Keep it more organized. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any problems, ask your questions in chat, and if you know any answers, help each other out there. I'll see you in the next video.